And then
It's like people are always waiting for the perfect time, which I don't even know what that means. It's kind of like the New Year's resolution. I think that's one of the most ridiculously silly things that has ever been conceived, because it's like, okay, well, I want to get into shape. That's going to be my New Year's resolution. But like, hey, buddy, it's July right now. There's 6 months until New Year's. It gives people an excuse to postpone. And I think this kind of boils down to one of our favorite expressions, which is, when is the best time to plant a tree? And of course, if you think about it, it's like, well, like 20 years ago, in the past sometime. And the next best time to plant a tree is right now. There's not going to be any perfect timing. And when we come back to reality, when we're talking about trading or getting into shape and taking care of our health, our time, our relationships and everything, there's no perfect timing to go and start fostering those things. You just got to start doing it. And like you said, the fear of failure is such a strong demotivator. And I think it's because the definition of it by itself, most people misconstrue. And they think that failure is like a forever thing. But rather, failure is the point in which you learn and progress. If you want to trade, you're probably not going to be great at it at first. In fact, you're probably going to suck a little bit, right? And then you go and you learn, and next step, and so on and so forth. And so I think most people are scared of failure because they think like it's a forever thing. But rather, it's something to embrace and to expect and learn from,
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Looks like we're live on Facebook, and we are up and running for the Prosperity U podcast. We're fired up to be, well, Travis is reporting to you live from his, not his Sonata, but some or another. Some
from
sort of
Honda.
Honda.
The out of the top 10 most reliable vehicles, 9 of them are either Toyota or Honda. Just fun fact for you guys. So when you go shopping, that's what you want.
I got a Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. That thing is slick. I like it.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm sorry.
I've had definitely an alternative experience to both Toyota and Honda myself. So
hey, James is just jumping on.
James,
this is awesome. I'm so glad to have him here. Yay! James is on with us. So that was a really strong intro. But this is great. This is great because the topics that we have today is we want to focus on progress over perfection. We're going to dive into discipline, and then also
apologies for the delay.
What's that? Hey, James, how's it going?
No worries.
I was just saying, James, this is a really great session for you to be on and to speak to these things. But we're going to talk about progress over perfection, and discipline is a huge one that we're going to dive into today. And then,
Brilliant.
As fulfilling a promise, Zach said that he was going to share some of the charts from what we used to look at on our trading setup to what it looks like now. And
okay.
James's maybe next week we can show some of James's charts with the entry level stuff, of course, because we hold on to the goodies, on the other side. But yeah,
that'd be pretty fun. So, progress over perfection. Oftentimes, there's perfectionism is like this one of the biggest stunters of growth in any industry, in any skill set that you want to learn. It's like people are so accustomed to being afraid to fail that they just focus really hard on doing things perfectly instead of just do it. Just start taking some action, and guess what? You may fail once or twice, right? Or even more. It's just part of the learning process.
I love what you said there. That's the power of starting. Like, just do it today. Someday doesn't exist in the calendar, right? Like, you see
Right.
someday anywhere on there? No. Hey, I want to get in shape. Oh man, I gotta get a gym membership. Drop and give me 10. Shut up. Hey, just do it now.
Exactly.
Start now.
Yeah.
Seriously. Hey, what are you, guy? Give us some push-ups. Let's go.
Yeah. So I've heard so many times from so many people in my life, like family members. Oh yeah, I really ought to do that. I really ought to take that training or do that thing. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, like when? When are you going to? Oh, I don't know. Sometime next year. Okay, what date? And then
It's like people are always waiting for the perfect time, which I don't even know what that means. It's kind of like the New Year's resolution. I think that's one of the most ridiculously silly things that has ever been conceived, because it's like, okay, well, I want to get into shape. That's going to be my New Year's resolution. But like, hey, buddy, it's July right now. There's 6 months until New Year's. It gives people an excuse to postpone. And I think this kind of boils down to one of our favorite expressions, which is, when is the best time to plant a tree? And of course, if you think about it, it's like, well, like 20 years ago, in the past sometime. And the next best time to plant a tree is right now. There's not going to be any perfect timing. And when we come back to reality, when we're talking about trading or getting into shape and taking care of our health or time, our relationships and everything, there's no perfect timing to go and start fostering those things. You just got to start doing it. And like you said, the fear of failure is such a strong demotivator. And I think it's because the definition of it by itself, most people misconstrue. And they think that failure is like a forever thing. But rather, failure is the point in which you learn and progress. I mean, even if you're thinking about going and working out in the gym, a lot of people talk about, build up until you're until you can't pump your iron anymore, right? Like, go until failure. And then you take a break, and then you go until failure. And that's where you're actually making really rapid growth in the gym. And funny enough, learn how to do other things really good too. If you want to trade, you're probably not going to be great at it at first. In fact, you're probably going to suck a little bit, right? And then you go and you learn, and next step, and so on and so forth. And so I think most people are scared of failure because they think like it's a forever thing. But rather, it's something to embrace and to expect and learn from,
What you're talking about is when people, like, because this is where people identify as that failure. So they're afraid to fail because if they fail, that's who they are, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between the progress-minded versus the perfection-minded. The perfection-minded is that I need to get this good or I'm a failure. And the progress-minded, the ones that win a lot more, are the ones that are like, hey, if I fail, great. This doesn't define who I am, but I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move forward. James, you had something you wanted to say?
On the bottom of a document that I prepared for people who are getting into trading, the document is titled Steps in the Learning Process. The last paragraph says, psychology is huge, blah, 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 failure. You only truly fail if you give up. Or fail to accept where you're going wrong. If you hit the targets required on a demo account, failing costs nothing. So you really only fail if you quit.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good. And people quit because it's not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look at all the marriages failing right now. It's not perfect. I'm done. The next one will be better. Yeah, your divorce rate goes up even double. Yeah. Anyways, I digress.
So that's ultimately like progress over perfection. And even if we look at our own journey as an organization, right? Me, Brian, and Travis, we had a marketing agency. We dove deep into that last week. If you want to catch that, you go check that one out. But we started a marketing agency, and our mission was to help empower people to do more of the things they love with the people they love most. That was our mission. And then we discovered trading And we're like, well, this is a faster way to help people to accomplish our mission. Right. And we
There's
decided
a lot more moving parts with business and marketing and stuff that we were trying to encourage people to do, because it truly was, entrepreneurship in general is a really viable, awesome way to produce time and financial flexibility and freedom, right? But like you're saying, there's what we've come to find is that trading is significantly more efficient, and I think for the vast majority of people more effective, because in business it's a highly competitive market, and in trading you're just competing against yourself. Don't be a bonehead. Right?
Yeah.
Don't give up on with bad days.
And we started that with little progress points. We took action. I started learning how to trade while Brian, Travis, and Donald were basically running the agency without me. And then when I kind of proved the concept, if you will, well, then we stopped the agency completely, came over, started promoting trading.
That was a transition though, because you started, and then I came, and I really was ramping up the whole,
bringing more people on board.
Yeah, moving it, and then Travis was basically taking care of it. Travis was the last one to come over.
Yeah. And then we just took action, and it was not perfect by any means. And then eventually we were like, we need to take another piece of action here, which is not to be in this other organization, but to have our own. And so that was the next
and
step.
Then James, came part of the picture. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was like a big, I remember when we had to figure that out too, because James came with a nice price tag that we didn't have at that time. It was juicy. It was juicy.
James, we had the best poker face with you, because we talked to you and you're like, well, here's the price point. And we all were like, okay, okay, yeah, sure.
We'll figure it out.
And then we get off the phone with you. All right, guys, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Like, we're nowhere near. Like,
how do we do this?
Yeah. We're good, but like not enough to pull out that much right now. So that was fun. And then
here's the acid test question then. Was it worth it?
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell the truth.
It was incredibly worth it. Like, not just for us, but for the community, like for everyone. It was and the excitement of, like, I remember all the things that we had to do to build that, because I mean that's what kind of we had to take what we had learned from marketing to shape the proper offer to make it all make sense. And I mean, we had a solid, like, we had signed up 50 people with that organization before. So we had a solid list of people that were going to want to do what we had. And we found a way to make the payments to be, lower than what was at the time, what we were paying monthly that was supposed to be a lifetime. However, there were some people that couldn't get, how did that whole finance partner and all that stuff, like all that stuff came? Travis. Oh yeah. Because the finance partner we had with the previous, with our agency. So that was already there.
I think we started it tail end of the agency. Yeah.
Tail end of the agency. We were using the finance partners.
Yeah.
We were using the finance partners. And that made things much easier, because everything became more attainable for people, and the monthly payments turned out to be, like, again, much less than what it was at the other organization that we were working out with, and it was fixed. So instead of paying that, like, how many people do we know that came from that other place that had been with them for like 5-6 years and had already pumped out, like, how much is that? Like, easy $297 a month for 5-6 years.
Yeah, I mean that's 15 to 20K.
Yeah, and no results for all that time too.
Yeah,
it seems like anybody who comes through. I'm sorry. I was saying that it seems like anyone who comes through who's had an experience elsewhere. Of course, for one thing, there's a lot, like there's hurt feelings, right? but it seems like most people are getting burned between like $10,000 and $20,000 before they, you know, move on to something different, you know. And man, it breaks my heart to hear that, but it's not the end of the world for sure. A $10,000 or $20,000 lesson for such a big outcome, though, at some point just becomes so negligible. You're like, huh, you know, kind of like when we first paid James to work with us. That was pretty painful. I don't know about you guys, but I thought I was like, that's a lot of money. And now I look back, I'm like, huh, James is kind of a cheapo, huh? So I'm just kidding, obviously. Throwing in some dark humor there.
Yeah,
But
I had a 20K in one 10-minute session once. That was like and
Yeah.
the cool thing is that everything that we have now derived from that experience, so that it would never happen again. And yeah, phase 2, I don't think that's an even possibility in phase 2, is it, James?
No.
Last
I think
month.
it's all sort of obvious, but you know, I've been doing it for a while, so we've yet to be caught out. And if anyone's in who's on the live sessions, we've not been caught out in terms of where we want to go, what we want to do, what we want to take. We're just taking pips. So, you know, you calling it pips on demand, very good name. I would have called it pips on tap on demand. That's close enough. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I think pod might sound a little bit better than pot, though. So
Probably, yeah.
Strategy. No, yeah, it's actually, we have systems and processes to make it impossible across the board. Protection up the wazoo, you know, like just everywhere. So in light of that, so one of the things that we talked about last week, should I show my charts real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about last week was about the journey of, you know, we started a trading strategy, partnered with a guy, and ended up being very, very challenging for people because of how confusing it was. So I want to share my screen and show you guys exactly what this chart looks like. I think it's pretty comical, to be honest. Let's see. We move all this stuff out of the way, share screen. So this is what it used to look like. I'd have two screens up. Am I even on the same chart on both these screens? Euro USD. Yeah, I am. So, and I'd have this chart up at all times. We've got like 3 indicators on the left at the top, plus these 2 underneath. And then we've got a bunch of EMAs at the top, and then these 2 underneath. And actually, I believe I had 2 more. I just couldn't remember what they were. So this is what we'd be looking at. And we'd be looking at 3-minute candles. So super, super slow. This is how we played the game. Now, for those of you that are members, you know that we talk a lot about behavior versus indicators. And I looked at our course that we had for this strategy, and guess what it did? It was talking primarily about market behaviors, but it was doing it in a much less effective way. Now, if I were to compare that to what I use now, this is what I used to trade. Okay. Now I'll show you what I use to trade now, myself personally. This is all I got. I got 1 indicator on top, 1 indicator on the bottom. That's all I got.
Nice to see a MACD.
Oh, heck yeah. MACD is a must. So huge difference.
And so can we just describe what we were looking at for those that were that are listening to this and not seeing it? So like how many indicators was the first one? How many indicators was Yeah.
Thank you. So the first one, we basically have 2 charts. That's the same currency pair. In this case, we're looking at Euro USD on 2 charts side by side. At the top of the left chart, we have a variety of Bollinger Bands, a variety of support and resistance lines that are auto-populated through this indicator, and even some little arrow signals to try to indicate which direction the market wants to move. And then underneath that, we have a stochastic indicator. And underneath that, we have RSI indicator. And then on the right-hand side, with the candles, we have a bunch of EMA lines. And James would hate these EMA lines, by the way, because these are the silly numbers, not James's EMAs, but these are the silly random EMAs, like 200 and like whole numbers. I know James hates that. This is what we learned, at the time. And then underneath that, there's a stochastic RSI. And then underneath that, there's the TDI, which I used to love, 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 love. And so this was our setup. It was a bunch. What is that? 1, 2,
How
3,
do you
4,
even
5, 6,
focus?
7, 8.
Yeah.
That's 8 of them.
8
Now,
indicators.
this isn't to say that this wasn't effective. You made quite a bit of money with it, right? But it's like the difference between, do you guys know how a Model T is driven? Like how many different levers and different types of gear settings and stuff that you have? It's a very complicated way to drive. Didn't mean that Model T didn't drive you to different places, right? Our modern chart that has your 2 indicators is like your Tesla, your beloved Tesla that you just jump in and it basically, it's the spaceship and it's super elegant and nice and easy to look at. You have one screen. It's very simple, right? Like the difference between the old charts and the new one is just night and day, from confusion to simplicity, right? Yeah. And as we've learned, not only in business, but specifically in trading, if you confuse, you'll lose. So we have to make it as simple as possible. And this is from, I don't know how long you've spent behind the chart, Zach, but for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of refining and making better. And of course, this is also looking at other people who are learning and working with James and the whole network. It's just like it gets rid of all the fluff, gets straight to the point.
So now I saw on the other one you had like 2 indicators.
Yeah, just 2. At the top with the candles, I like to put certain settings on a Keltner band, and what it does, it just kind of gives me that zone to see where the candles are going to bounce between, and usually it's pretty accurate. And then underneath that, I have a MACD, which there's a few reasons to use the MACD. Number one, it replaced my TDI, so I did love the TDI when I was using it. But the MACD kind of is a simple TDI, is basically the way I look at it. And James taught me a lot about the MACD, which helped to kind of reinforce using that as an indicator. Also, it's used to prep people for James in phase 2. So they're already familiar with the MACD and how it works and how it functions. It's such an easy transition then to be familiar with James's strategies down the line after phase 1. So there's a few strategic things.
And we have some students that go naked chart and all that kind of stuff now. Like
yeah, we even have a drill for naked chart drill. So what it does is it just kind of helps you to recognize the candles and the patterns there, how they behave. It gets you familiar with that, and then when you add an indicator to help highlight those behaviors, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this is so easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to click.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
So anyway, what about discipline? Because all this is fine and dandy, right? You can put whatever indicators you want, whatever kind of chart you want, simple, complicated. At the end of the day, the one that wins is the one that's disciplined.
May I?
Go for it.
So I had a call today with a guy. I will leave his name out of the equation. And your son had a call with him yesterday and let me know that this was going to be a little bit of a tougher call. And I love these kinds of calls. These are my favorite, actually, kinds of calls because I literally have to, I don't want to say tear someone down to lift them up, but I got to tear down their walls because they've built these massive walls of illusion in their life. Okay, so like, give you an example. All it was money, 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 money. I get it. We're here to make money, but here's the thing. You don't realize that the more all you do is focus on money, the more the markets are going to rob you. The more all you do is focus on money, the more the markets are going to rob you. I was giving him an example. I said, and Paul's a prime example of this. Paul didn't listen to us when we were telling him that in the beginning, and he took an account from $2,000 down to $400. Almost blew his account. We had to slap them around a bit and get them to understand that, hey, these are the behaviors that we want to do. And I started to relate it back to like going to the gym, because going to the gym, first of all, on your first day going to the gym, the goal is, I don't know, maybe it's to deadlift 500 pounds and I want to be jacked like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. Are you doing that on day one?
No.
I asked him that. I said, why? So why are we not doing that on day one? Why is that not happening on day one?
You'll hurt yourself.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so what are the things that need to be done in order for you to get to those, other than gear? Because that guy, obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger, pumped his iron with testosterone. But like, let's keep that out of the equation. Let's just say that we're going all natural. What do you have to do in order to get there? Well, first of all, are you spending all day in the gym?
No.
No. Why?
Well, the growth comes from the recovery.
Oh, interesting. So there's time in between, and there's things that you do outside of the gym. What are the things that you got to do outside of the gym?
Eat healthy.
Okay. How much of everything that you're doing in the gym and surrounding everything else when it comes to the discipline with food is all in here?
All of it.
All in your mind. All in your mind. Everything. Even how much you're going to lift. I had no idea that I could lift 90-pound dumbbells in each arm until I was like, you know what? F it. I've been doing 70 pounds for I don't know how long. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go find out what my one rep max is. Right? Like I had to make that decision. But the whole point is that everything that happens in that gym, most of your results are happening in the food that you're eating and in the sleep that you're taking. And it's all in what you're telling yourself. Everything. As a man thinketh, he becomes. As a man thinketh, he becomes. And so James talks about what gets measured, gets managed. So one of the things that we need to find out over here is one's hold percentage. Does a person know what their hold percentage is? Why is that important? Because if your hold percentage is not at a proper rate, you should not be going live. Plain and simple. How do you find your hold percentage? Oh, it's disciplined. It means that you're treating this like a business. It means that just like you get up and you go to the gym between this time and this time, you're getting up and you're going in front of the charts between this time and this time, and you're honing in on the proper behaviors to get to that proper hold percentage. How do you know that? Oh, do you get it done in one day, Zach? How do you get to your hold percentage, James? Is it happen in one day?
No, it takes time. It takes experience and practice.
How long do you think before somebody's going to start to actually see an actual proper ratio?
It depends on it's not how long is a piece of string. It depends how much discipline they bring to the table. If you're very disciplined, you do it from day one. But if you come with bad habits and lack of discipline and impatience, it's going to take time before you realize that's going to hurt me and I need to be more patient and disciplined and follow the rules I've been shown. It can be in as quick as one day, or it can take 3 to 6 months. I've got one guy that follows me and he's still stuck at it after 2 years. And he said, I keep forgetting. What do you do?
Well, and here's the thing though, too, is that what I heard there as well is, okay, it could take one day, but that means that one day you're doing how many sessions, right? You might be collapsing timeframes by deciding to do however many sessions in a day. But the whole point is the discipline surrounding the fact that I am labeling this as a session. This is a session. So, for example, again, coming back to the gym, I'm starting to see those results. I'm getting closer. I just tacked on an extra 20 pounds on each dumbbell on each arm. I've been going at this for 6 months, but I've been going every day, not every day, but like 3 to 4 times a week for 6 months, right? I'm making a point of doing that. My ratios are good for showing up and my ratios are good for putting in the work, plain and simple, right? So how do you get there? Well, you can't get a ratio without doing X amount of, like, out of 10. What is your ratio? What is the hold percentage that we want to get to there, James, before we go live?
At least 1.2. I want a 1.2 times hold percentage. So if your average loss is 10 pips, I want average win of 12 from you.
Okay.
Just 1.2 is enough. But then I also want a 70-30 win rate.
70-30 win rate, which means that
7 wins,
seven
3
out of
losses.
10, 7 out of 10 trades, you're winning.
Yeah. Now you're mathematically able to go for it now and put real money in it. And then if you start losing, all of a sudden, we'll know that your psychology isn't right and we can work on that. But if you're able to do 70-30 and 1.2 on a demo account, now I know you understand the strategy, because the strategy will more than deliver it.
Mm,
Exactly.
so good. How in phase one, Zach? How do we calculate your hold percentage on that one?
So we just look at win rate. There's not really much of a hold. I'm not too familiar with hold percentage. I got to get into more Forex stuff, so I apologize. But
Well, actually, I learned that from casinos. I worked in casinos in South Africa, and they have a hold percentage. So, it's an accounting thing. I was the accountant, not a croupier. So, I want to see a hold percentage as well.
well, that's great. That's awesome. Good to know. James, you're just like
We are counting cards.
you're an onion, man. We always find a new layer of James, and it's so fun to explore. But for phase one, we focus hard on win rate, so it's kind of like the 70-30 kind of thing. Ours is per trade because this is binary trading. It's a little bit different, and so we focus on a 60% average over 10 days, over 10 sessions before you can officially go live. And the math, that's how the math works out for that particular style of trading, where as long as they're doing that, they're going to do great. And they can.
So 6 out of 10 trades you want to see win.
Yeah.
In phase one. For James, it's 7 out of 10, which is good. Yeah. I mean, these are important things. They're different strategies, different approaches. So hold percentage for this is 6 out of 10, 60%. And then James's is 7 out of 10.
And that's across 10 sessions, right? So like we actually just did this, guys. So for those of you that are not members and don't know this, 3 weeks ago, I started what I call a live case study, where I opened a new account, and I'm just going through our process in front of you. Is basically what I'm doing. So for the last 3 weeks on Thursday mornings, I get our community involved, and we've done demo because I wanted to do 10 sessions in demo before we go live. And so I did, and we're able to look at what was my win rate over 10 sessions, how much did I actually gain. It was actually pretty fascinating to go over that today with them. And so that way,
how much have you gained so far?
6% over 10 sessions. So 20 minutes a session, basically 3 hours.
And I know you do more and you do bigger on your live account, but you've mentioned that you feel nervous in front of people. So
I do. And I tell them that every time. I'm like, this is way outside my comfort zone, but I do it anyways. And it's fun. I think it's actually very rewarding. And I'm like, I don't care if this little case study takes us a year to hit a 6-figure account. Not $100,000 in the account, but an account that produces $8,500 a month.
Nice.
Right? That's the goal. So we're doing that together, and people are learning a ton so far in the last 3 weeks. So we're gonna keep cruising.
Have you had any lesson days yet?
No.
Really?
No lesson days. 10 sessions, no lesson days yet.
Ooh, 10 days, no lessons. Sheesh. Sheesh. That's awesome.
Had a couple rough ones, but no official lessons.
Nice. That's brilliant. That's so much fun. That's exciting. I love that.
So do you think it was because you're just so dang smart and so much better than other people, or do you think that it was because you were disciplined and followed a process?
Disciplined and process. And the numbers prove it, because what's interesting, my win rate is worse when I actually hop on the Thursday morning calls, because there's distractions, right? There's people, but the mental pressure is there. And so it's interesting how I tend to trade worse with them. And then when I trade outside of that, because I'm not trading once a week, I'm doing 3 times a week on this account. So it's like 70% win rate, 62% win rate. And then on Thursday, it's like 50 or 40. It's dang it. So wow. Interesting how it's all psychological. right? It's crazy how that works.
And I'm
That's where your
interested to
hold
see how that's
percentage
going to make you
matters.
better, though. I'm interested
Yeah.
to see how that's going to make you better because I'm guessing you've been getting more comfortable as well
Yeah,
over time. So I bet you it's going to get better.
yeah. What was that, James?
That's where your hold percentage matters. You could have a strategy that gives you a less than 50% win rate, but so long as the strategy is right, you'll win more than you lose if your hold percentage is right.
Yeah, I need to see how we can implement hold percentage in phase 1, because that'd be great. So I'm gonna be doing that, making a note.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So good, man. That's brilliant. And so I like understanding the 1.2, James, you're saying 1.2 means that you're gaining 12 pips and not losing more than 10.
Yeah. So your average loss over X amount of trades is not more than 10. So your average gain must be 12 or more to give you a 1.2 times hold percentage. In fact, if you've got a 50-50 win rate and a 1.2, you're laughing. If you've got better than a 50-50 win rate, you will end up with more than 1.2 off that, if 1.2 is your worst case.
Awesome. Awesome. And it sounds like the calls, because you're doing like 8 calls a week now, are you? With us?
One of them's educational. Load of Monday's educational because I don't trade on a Monday. But the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 for Tuesday, 2 for Wednesday, 3 for Thursday, 7 live trading sessions in the week. 1 still to go for tonight, and we're only winning pips on them. Sometimes we watch a market go in a direction for sometimes, like today, we watched it trickle down, down, down. I said, I'm not taking that. I don't want to sell for these reasons. I'm waiting to go long. Then we got our long signal. The same thing happened on Tuesday. We got our long signal, and it was a really nice, easy, relaxed, no pressure trade for 30, 40 pips and more without pressure. The GU Todd today, we traded the GBP USD. There was it's the Todd, the time of day trade. It signaled long. We had a 10 pip stop. It never went near it at all. It stayed in positive from the word go. I had a 20 pip target to begin with because that's what it's meant to be. I increased it to 35 at one stage, but it was faffing, so I brought it back to 20 and let it go there so that we could go on with the NAS. But it did go all the way to the 124.40 that we were looking for just later on, and because we were trading more than one markets, I didn't wait for it. But it was relaxed, it was easy, it was off it's going to break that line, so we'll place an order to go long there. And when it breaks that long, we're in without having to do anything, and we'll measure and manage it all the way up. Really nice and easy.
And so you basically like 20 pips. Did you scale at all in that, or it was just
I didn't on that
pip?
one. I scaled on the NAS. I don't usually on the GU. I'm not a big that's the only currency trade I take in the week these days, just the GU Todd. But otherwise, I'm a NAS or a DAX trader. J40 or US 100 and the Dow tonight, and they deliver. I just took 20 pips on the Dow off the last signal. Guy will be able to confirm for you it is a signal. Now I'm looking for it to run up ahead of our next Todd after 8 p.m. and it's doing it.
Wow. That's powerful. So why don't
every move is predictable and predicted, or we're not taking it.
I love that. That's what's so much fun about like being on those calls and seeing is that you're literally calling it out before it happens, which is really, really fun to listen to. Why don't you kind of explain the scaling in deal?
Well, basically, if each time it goes through a level, or the bottom line is, let's say you've gone in at $1 a pip for round numbers. So you buy another $1 a pip and then another $1 a pip. And by the time it reaches your target, you've been trading $3 a pip. So you get more profit than you would have got. But your first trade is locked in before you take a second. Your second trade is locked in before you take a third. So your worst case scenario is a loss on the third trade. The first two have more than covered that loss. And then if you scale it a fourth time, because Guy and some of the others will be able to confirm for everybody, since February and before, I've been looking for longs on the DAX and the NAS to 17,700. In February, it's written in one of my notes there that we did it in a session. We were looking for 12.1 to go to 12.5. And then 13 and obviously 14. And we expected some faff in between 14 and 15,000. But reaching 15,000 gives us access to my high target of 17,711. And Guy could confirm that in the chat. And as at now, both the DAX and the NAS have aligned. They're at 15.8. So I've been scaling in to a couple of longer term swing trades from 15,000. So all of those at the minute are locked in at 15.5 on both. If we come back there, I'll come out, but with a hell of a profit. If it keeps going, I'll keep scaling. And by the time it gets to 17,711, we're talking a hell of a chunk of change, like more than you gave me to join you anyway.
So
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
And just so everybody knows, James starts with $50 lot sizes. So when he goes, like, I've heard some of your guys' plays are like, some of them can be 15, 20 pips. Some of them can be all the way up to like 1,200 pips.
Now, in full disclosure, these swing trades, because I leave them open overnight and over weekends, they're not at $50 trades, but they're decent. I'm happy with them. Some of them might be $2, some of them might be $5, but they scale at 5 and 10. So as at now, there's a chunk of change riding on the DAS and the DAX, the NAS and the DAX, and they're going. They're 800 pips to the good from the first entries. And there you go. Oof. Guy confirms my 17,711.
There you go. So I got 17.5 pips on Euro USD today. Biggest single trade I've had. Yeah, okay, that's cool.
Well done. Euro dollar pips is good pips.
One of the biggest trades I've ever gotten in phase 2 is a 1,200. 1,200 was a big drop. That was the biggest drop I've ever seen in my life. And there were 3 pushes in that one.
I want to clarify a couple things for those of you that are not involved with trading yet. Some of that might have seemed pretty gibberish like for you. So when we're talking about scaling into trades and James says your first trade is locked in, he's saying that it's locked in profit. So you can put your stop loss. So when the market moves in a favorable direction, let's just say it's going up, for example's sake, when it crosses the threshold of like, okay, I'm good, I'm going to lock in my stop loss here. So worst case, if it tanks back down, I made a profit. That's locking it in. When you get that locked in, assuming good market behavior, you put in your second trade.
Yeah, the stop loss trails up. The stop loss trails up to that position means I locked in. It could have been 10, 20, 30 pips. And then what James is saying when he's scaling in is stop loss is put into position and he's taking another position from that point on. So that $50 just turned into $100 per pip. And so then he goes up, let's say another 10, 20 pips. And then he's going to drag his stop loss up to there because typically every move, like starting move, like if you know the strategy, typically there's going to be about 2 to 3 pushes, which means that there's 2 to 3 opportunities for you to scale in and double it down. Okay, so and that means you're also protected because you've pulled in your stop loss. Anyway, that's your scaling method. We have students that trust James so much. Okay, James starts at 50. He started with $50 lot sizes. If I remember the story correctly, James, you had said the first time you ever traded, you thought you were just risking $50 in total. You had a $5,000 account, and you thought that was it, not realizing that one pip was $50, and you had woke up to $15,000 the next day. Said, "Oh my gosh, wouldn't have."
I came back from lunch. 2 hours, 5,000 euros, 5,000 euros it was. And I have traded more. I used to trade £100 a pip. I've come down because I'm getting sort of geriatric now and calming down a bit, so about me maximum now. But scaling in, I could have like $200 or $300 to go on a trade,
Right.
Yeah, per pip.
Yeah, but so you came back and you were like, and you exited not realizing, and you're like, oh my gosh, that could have went the other way. But then you were like, but wait a minute, what if I can do that over and over and over again? And then that year you bought out your boss's company, and then it didn't take long, 3.5 million pound facility, and all with your trading profits, which is huge. But we have students that trust you so much that they're doing like $200 lot sizes.
Yep. Yeah, and they're making a rake of pips and money generally. Like there's one guy, I think I showed you the picture, £90,000 in 2 weeks or something. It's there's some silly money to be made from it, but I don't advocate it as being a get rich quick scheme. I advocate it as being a do it properly, do it sensibly, and let the pips and the money come to you. We have a gates system. We have a business plan. We have all of the tools that empower and enable everybody to do it safely. To start, like the two soldiers I taught started with €50 and they turned it into 7,700 in 2 weeks. Imagine what they could do, what they did do in 6 months. They did it, and they're still didding it, if you like. And then that's it. Once you realize how it gets done, it's just a rinse and repeat process, and you're not missing out on anything.
Well, and it's fun to watch like guys like Dave Wimbush. He started with $5 and brought that to over 500, and then he's pushing barriers into the thousands of dollars now, starting with $5 and $50, like you said. And it doesn't have to be anything big. You get that hold percentage and that discipline in so that you can lock in these behaviors. Can you explain a little bit about the gate system there, James?
Well, basically, it's a spreadsheet. It's not just a compounding spreadsheet. It's not designed so that, okay, double your money, double your money, double your stake, double your stake. It's not about that. It is. But at the same time, it's discipline in that it says, have you had a mistake? Have you had a loss? Is the loss this many pips? Then you must halve your stake. And if you have another one, halve your stake again, effectively quartering your stake. And what it does is it reduces and reduces your lot size, so that your losses get smaller if you're going through some level of a bad patch. Effectively, it means you can't go backwards. If you get yourself somewhere like gate 10 and you have 6 losses back to back, financially, you don't go back to gate 9. But then if you start getting it right again, you move up very quickly back through the gates, and you still carry on small, bigger, and you increase your stake as your performance gets better, as you prove to yourself that you can do this and make it right.
Sounds like lifting weights.
Exactly. Yes. Or doing press ups. You all know I do my press ups each day. I increased them. I now do 50 in the morning out the gate. And yesterday I did 2 lots of 50. I wouldn't normally do that on a work day. I would do 40 and 30. So now I've done 50 and 50. This morning I did 50 and 40. But my first lot now is going to be 50 going forward. And then I'll decide how I feel. If it's not a work day, like so tomorrow, it has to be 50-50.
Well, that sounds like you're going against your FOB method there, James.
FLB, yeah, but bear in mind now, my wife is 20 years younger than me. And when we go to we go to Poland and we visit family and friends and stuff, and her friends' husbands, they don't look like little chubby old men, if you know what I mean. So I need to keep myself in shape, or I'm only having a laugh if I think I'm going to keep up with that,
Yeah.
Love that. That's inspiring.
Amazing.
Very cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we're tying up for today. That was a very loaded session. I think we went over the whole focus of progress and instead of perfection, and really honing in on discipline in that process, and consistency is king, all of those things. And so if you're listening for the first time, or if you have been listening and you haven't got the blueprint yet, we just encourage you, go ahead to prosperitymovement.online. That's prosperitymovement.online. If you Google Prosperity Movement, it should bring you to the website. First thing, prosperitymovement.online. There's a little chat, I think it's chat bubble at the bottom right hand of the page. Just click on that, put your name and your information in there, and just put blueprint, and we'll send you the blueprint completely complimentary. It is normally $47. I go ahead and say that it's priceless. And that it prepares you. It does 2 things. It prepares you to succeed. We've seen our numbers increase on the other side of this. And this is something that I had to talk to a guy with today. He says, so painful to get through. He said, 3 hours. I know we have people over here that they have learning disabilities that are killing it. So there's no excuse. It genuinely is going to help you and prepare your heart set and your mindset so that you can be successful at this. And then also it's going to help you do your due diligence. And actually, Travis, you're in the process right now of really carving that down, are you? Oh,
Yes.
Go ahead, James. James,
I just
James,
wanted to say on due diligence, I can prove that back as far as February, I said this NAS and DAX were going to do what they're doing from 12,000. So look at the chart at what it was in February and where it is now. And I'm looking for December, maybe January, to see. I've got to break 16,000 to get there, but I'm still looking for 17,711. And until it really fails at 16,000, that's my target. I need a structural reason for it failing. Otherwise, I'm going to 17,711 all the way from 12,000. That is 5,700 pips. That's due diligence right there. Provable due diligence.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, like if you want to get that kind of forecasting power, this is where you get it done. So yeah, go ahead, Travis, speak a little bit about what's coming down the pipe here with the blueprint. So again, we have something new coming out, but definitely get what we have while you can. And what's coming down the pipe there, Travis?
Just a significantly more efficient and concise version of the blueprint that's updated with all of the things that we've come up with since the last time that we've created the blueprint. We're always adapting, always finding the most effective routes for new people, and the more people we work with, the more data we have to help us really hone this in. And so we're coming out with 2.0 version of the blueprint.
Sounds like you have a new chart with less indicators.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Very cool. That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.